Oh,
Hey, Nick.
listeners, you really need to. We need to do like what do you call it? An outtakes video.
Oh, thought you
So
were
you
going
are you're mucking around with your hair. I'm putting on lipstick. We're laughing
to.
at one another. It's pretty ridiculous. Anyway,
We need a count in and a clapperboard.
that would be fun. I've done a bit of stuff. I don't know if I've ever told our listeners. I've been on a couple of commercials and a couple of movies. When I lived in Far North Queensland, there's a lot of filming up there because of the beautiful scenery. And the clapperboard's actually really flipping loud when it's in front of your face. It's quite startling. It's all of your acting ability not to be startled by the clapperboard as they clap it in front of your face. I'm sure they've got a digital version now and it's totally different because I am, of a certain vintage. That means I had the proper old fashioned clapperboard.
You are a bit vintaged.
I am. Anyway, Warwick,
Nicole.
what is a pirate's favorite type of content?
Ooh, we could create a bit of content, but I have no idea.
A webinar.
That joke was funny the first time you did it, and I reckon it was funnier the second time because you nailed it. Like you went just up a notch. You just took it up just a notch for the second delivery.
Not often that I get you to proper laugh, but today you did.
I think anytime you make a fool of yourself, I'm bound to laugh at you.
You and my children will enjoy a good laugh at my expense.
So here comes the segue, listeners. Just gonna come right out and be honest and authentic about the fact that there's a segue, and I'm jumping on it, and I'm giving that baby a. Well, you don't twist the throttle on a segue, do you? You just lean
Oh,
or
I've
push.
actually done a Segway tour. It was a lot of fun. I took all of the children on. I said, well, this is many years ago when there were children. Now they're all adults. And I can't quite remember
I'm
whether
pretty sure
you're
you just lean forward or you push
forward.
the column forward or something.
Well, you don't see Segways anymore because everybody's got electric scooters instead.
Yeah, didn't that fad go away? I
Mm.
bet the Segway manufacturers are crying into their big rubber tires. Anyway, so the segue is to do with webinars and content. And today we're talking marketing,
I think I
but we're
need
not
to throw a challenge to our marketing team to put little parrots on our shoulders and patches across our
for the
eyes for
video.
the
Oh,
for the
there's a spot just here where one would fit. Look at that. Look, I could pat Polly on the head. So marketing. But we're not just talking about how to do marketing and marketing for tradies and how to get more business and all the usual stuff, which is all very valid and has been talked about a fair bit. So we're not
Yes.
going to put you to sleep today. We're going to talk about burnout and
Yeah.
business owner burnout. Bob,
Bob, the business owner, not Bob the
business
builder.
owner burnout.
Mm.
I
There's a lot
love a
of
good
B's
acronym.
and a bit of alliteration.
I do.
This is an interesting concept when you flagged it this morning. Well, it's not interesting concept. We see it all the time, but I don't think we've spoken about it in this way on the podcast before. And I think it might surprise a few people when we start to unpack how the two can be related for many business owners. And
Mm,
we have spoken to quite a few people of late that have been attracting either the wrong kind of jobs or the wrong kind of people as clients that is leading to their problem of burnout. And for some of our wider community, that's quite a broad problem. It's quite an issue when we reach burnout and we're not able to function the way we should be functioning. For some of us, we are high functioning in burnout. And so we manage to plot our way through, but we're not at our best. And so we still are influencing some of the results we probably don't want to receive. And all of it could be changed through some marketing.
yeah, it's 2024 as this goes to air. It's been a pretty wild 3 or 4 years. Well, probably 4 years, really. Coming
Mm.
out of 2019, I think a lot of people were feeling pretty cool, and there was nothing especially dramatic or bad or anything about 2019. And 2020 was just going to be a slightly better year than the previous year. New year, new you, all that sort of stuff. Just the usual, business as usual, and then bam, COVID.
Yeah.
And then bam, lockdowns, and then bam, inflation, and bam, interest rate rises, and it's just been seemingly one thing after another.
Yeah.
Particularly in the trades, they've probably copped it I think worse than some sectors,
Yep.
with all material price increases and all the government money that got chucked at housing and all the nasty stuff that ended up creating. And I think because of COVID as well, customers have become much more demanding, less patient, very price focused. So you might as well just shut up shop and go work for Bunnings because that all sounds really terrible.
You've certainly painted a picture.
Yeah, yeah, it's exciting. Great opportunities for everybody. But I think the thing with that, Nick, and the reason sorry, people, if I've just triggered a whole bunch of PTSD for you listening to this, but the last 4 years has been really shit. And it's led to a lot of people feeling very tired, very worn out, burned out, probably just running on fumes. And so there's a whole bunch of tradie business owners who are like, man, how do I catch a break? How do I deal with this burnout? Mental health is suffering, physical health, relationships, cranky at the kids. We've stopped doing stuff for ourselves. And so for us to come on here and say, you know what, you can fix most of that with marketing. That sounds a bit dumb. It's counterintuitive, but it's a bit of a paradox. So
Mm.
we're going to unpack that now, as Coxie said. And I'm finished setting the scene and making you feel bad. And Nick's going to, have you got your horse ready, Nick?
I'm ready.
You're riding in on your white horse.
I
You're
am
going to rescue everybody.
like a knight in shining armor. I was just thinking about the fact that because of what we saw through COVID as well, and we had that real boom, we got to the mid last year, and for some people, it was starting to peter away. And so we were just, I don't know, throwing the big blanket of marketing out there, marketing in air quotes, if you're listening rather than watching. And it wasn't necessarily, or it hasn't necessarily served many of our business owners well. And what's happened is so many of them have found themselves in a position that they have this shit coming in the door, quite frankly. They've just got low quality leads. They're not the kind of people that they're normally working with. They're very demanding, or they're just very cranky. And so they're very hard to navigate, or it's the wrong kind of work. We're getting lots and lots of little rats and mice type work that you and I talk about all the time. And so we're now sort of the beginning of 2024. Interestingly, this must be hitting lots of other markets, not only ours, because I've never seen so many influencers talking about planning as I have this year, and planning for change so that you end up in a different position in 2025 than you did at the beginning of 2024. And so I guess that's what we'd like to talk about today. You have an opportunity to plan your marketing to give you the result you would like to have. And there's a couple of really simple things that you can do, and you can find all of this stuff on the internet. Yes, we can help you do it if you feel like you need some assistance, and you can absolutely do it on your own. There's a couple of things that you need to do to help you identify who the right person is, or what the
Mm.
right kind of jobs are. And that's going to help you then unlock the understanding of where to from here, because it's a bit of, you need to follow the steps A to B to C to D to get the results. Because if you don't do it with consideration and thought to the best of your ability, you're not a marketer. You've just got to do it knowing what you know about the people that you usually serve. That's enough for you to start to change those results. And it all begins with identifying who you want to work for. So fancy people will call it a client avatar. Working through a client avatar questionnaire is generally enough for you to identify who it is that you want to work for. But you can make it even more simple if you like while you listen to this, and think about, in the past 12 months or longer, who were your favorite clients? They were easy to work for. It was the kind of work you enjoyed doing. They paid on time. They didn't complain a whole bunch. Who were they? What do they look like? How old are they? What kind of work do they do? Do they have a family? What kind of area do they live in? What kind of job were they looking for you to complete? What kind of result or solution was it bringing for them as a homeowner? That's the kind of stuff that you need to identify, and you can just jot it down, and it starts to build you a picture of who your Mr. and Mrs. Jones are. It might be Mrs. and Mrs. Jones or Mr. and Mr. Jones. Who knows? It doesn't matter. We need to figure out who that is for your business. And so just making those notes, it's a 10, 15, 20-minute exercise for you to make some notes about who that target client is. Who is it that you want to really show up and serve in your business? Because in doing so, then we can move through to the marketing piece, begin working to attract them. So we're not doing the rats and mice jobs, or we're working for clients that don't pay on time and whinge and moan and groan and make our lives really difficult. But we can't do that if we don't understand who it is that we're trying to talk to in our marketing.
So, if you've enjoyed this episode, leave us no. That's a cracking summary, Coxie. I I don't want to talk about the problem too much, and I think if we understand the problem well enough, then the solution becomes much simpler to identify and implement. When you as a tradie don't have clarity about who your ideal client is, your avatar is, whatever language you want to use, and you don't have a plan in place for attracting more of them and bringing more of them on as clients, that often leads to you saying yes to anything.
Mm-hmm.
And we spoke to one of our tradiepreneurs in his and his wife's session this week about exactly that. He's busy. He's got heaps of work on. Normally, that's a great metric. And so, something else to think about as you listen to this, if you are feeling a bit of burnout, or if you're just a bit tired, or you're tired of dealing with particular kind of clients, have a think about how are you measuring some of these things? What's your metric for marketing results in your business, and also how well your business is serving you? Is it just that you're busy? If your metric is, oh, we're really busy right now, and that's a big green tick, I want you to rethink that. Because
Mm.
just being busy and just having lots of work on doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting the results that you want and that your business is serving you. So you need to be busy in inverted commas. I didn't do the air quotes if you're just listening and not watching with my fingers. But are you busy with a particular type of client, with a particular type of job that's more profitable? Or are you, as Coxie said, doing rats and mice work? So you could still be busy, and you could look at two tradies, tradie A and tradie B. They're both working 50 hours a week on the tools. They're both racing around busy. They're both, running from one job to the other. They've got stacks of inquiries coming in. One of them could be happy as Larry, plenty of money coming in, paying himself and his family a fat wage. And the other one could be miserable, burned out, over it, and ready to go work for Bunnings. There's no bank in the money, no money in the bank. Oh man, there's no money in the bank. And they're both working the same hours in the week. They're both busy. Phones ringing for both of them. So this is how marketing can fix your burnout and your fatigue issues, is by changing the mix of who you're working with. Are you running around doing crappy little maintenance jobs for people who complain about it afterwards anyway and then don't pay their bills on time? Or are you running around doing awesome work for great clients who are like, don't care, just come and do it. We loved your quote. Whenever you're ready, just do it. We'll pay you.
Mm. I can feel there's kind of an elephant in the room that we haven't spoken about just yet. And I wonder if our listeners have identified it yet. Maybe they haven't. And I feel this fear is the thing that holds people back from working through this exercise.
Yep.
And it's the fear of saying no.
Yep.
Because when we go through this exercise and we identify clearly who it is that we really want to work with, we have to say no to the other people. And that's really hard, specifically for tradies. I have still not yet met a tradie, even the concreters, if you're listening, who didn't go into the trades because they didn't want to help people. They're all there because they're great at helping. They're all there because they can practically do something to solve a problem for someone. And that brings them a lot of self-satisfaction and pride. And so therefore saying no can be really challenging for them. They don't want to do that. They don't know how, and they don't want to have to do it because it leads to sometimes an uncomfortable conversation. But we spoke yesterday about the opportunity cost of saying yes to the rats and mice work for this particular client. Actually, there were two that we spoke to about this yesterday in one form or another. The opportunity cost. And what opportunities are they saying no to without actually even saying no, by saying yes to the crappy little work? And the crappy little work where they weren't getting paid properly, and they were having to go back and do bits and pieces because people weren't understanding of the terms and conditions and how it should have been set out. that meant that they then weren't available to do the bigger ticket stuff that they actually really wanted to do because they were so busy, they were booked out for 3 months. And so, because they were booked out for 3 months, they were practically saying no to the bigger ticket work because those people didn't want to wait for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would encourage you, if you're feeling a little bit squirmy about the fact this might mean that you have to say no to some people, to have a look at what you're losing or the opportunities that you're losing by not being able to say no to the kind of work that isn't serving you. It's not serving your profit margin. It's not serving your family. It's not serving you personally. It's contributing to burnout and all the other not so pleasant things we spoke about at the beginning simply by not saying no. And a lot of that can be done for you with your marketing.
Yeah.
When we get clear, often you don't have to say no because your marketing isn't going to appeal to those people anyway. It's going
Yeah.
to reduce the amount of times you get in that position.
Yeah, you don't have to say no. And I think this is where a lot of people get caught with that fear, Nick, is they think that they have to start by saying no to the work that's coming in currently, the rats and mice.
Yep.
I have to start with no to the rats and mice, then create this wasteland and desert where there's no work for 2 or 3 months while we go through this transition period to start bringing in better customers. Stop
Mm,
that thinking. Not, it's not how it needs to happen.
mm,
That's how some people go about it. That's the picture and the story you've created in your mind about how this is going to roll out. And that is not actually necessarily true. It could be if that's what you
mm.
focus on. You could also just start saying yes to better jobs, which blocks out the opportunity to work with the shitty jobs.
Yep.
And so you end up saying no to the others simply by saying yes to the better ones.
Hmm.
So it's like anything, and we've been talking about this for almost 10 years now here in the
Yeah.
podcast. More than 600 episodes. A lot of what we talk about is about how you think about things, how you look at things. A lot of people like to hang shit on the whole woo woo, and you and I even a bit tongue in cheek talk about the fluffy stuff and the woo woo and the headspace. And I should make a public commitment now, Nick, in my 16th year of coaching and mentoring, that I stop doing that, because the reality is we could put all of the systems and processes and scripts and everything in place in our businesses and still not get the results if we don't change our thinking. And some of that's our language as well. So if you think that you're going to have to say no to work and have this big gap, then you're not going to get anywhere with this. And that's what you're going to be stuck with, because you'll be
Mm,
stuck with the fear around that. If you change your thinking, go, okay, well, what if I said yes to more mountain biking trips, and that means I'm busy with those. So then I can't say yes to my mother-in-law when she says you have to come here for the weekend. It's like, I've booked another mountain biking trip already. Gosh, gee darn. My mother-in-law lives 2,500 k's away, so I don't have to worry about that. But if you make yourself busy with the right class of clients,
mm.
you can't be busy with the wrong ones. That's kind of what I'm driving at here.
Love it.
The other thing that I would encourage our listeners to do, Nick, in terms of some specific actions that you can take around this as you listen to this episode, is do a simple little exercise off the back of that whole avatar thing of categorizing your current clients, just to give you a bit of a sense of, okay, where are we at? Are we working with rats and mice? You know, Nic and Waz said I'm working with rats and mice, but I don't know. You know, real estate work is so good working for property managers. I mean, it's such great work and they pay on time, and I'm trying to be facetious. Uh, categorize your current clients or the last 6 months worth into A, B, C, or D. A's are those avatars that Coxie was talking about. They're those awesome clients that you can think of and identify by name. It's like, oh my gosh, that was guy. I want more of him. He was just so awesome to work for. He was not nitpicky. He didn't screw me on price. He paid me on time, et cetera, et cetera. I want more of them. B's, they're pretty good clients. They're not awesome. They didn't give you referrals or repeat work, but they're pretty good clients. C's, they're those hassle clients that they got two other quotes and you got the work and you went and did the job, but then they wanted to change things and they queried the variations. They eventually paid a month late. They're the C's. And the D's are the ones that you just know you should have run in the other direction as soon as you answered the phone.
We've all got those.
So do a quick categorization on your clients over the last few months. Just think about, are you mostly A's and B's, or do you have a big crop of C's and D's? And that should be some guidance for you as to whether you need to actually do some more work in this area and whether marketing could actually fix your burnout issues.
It's an interesting way to look at the topic of marketing today, something a bit different for you to think about. And I really encourage you to do the two exercises and then think about this in terms of the opportunity cost. What is the lack of opportunity or the opportunity you are saying yes to actually costing you, your business, and your family? It's a great way for you to start to motivate yourself to say yes to the right kind of work. Therefore, you can't say yes to the wrong kind of work. There is one other tool. This is like the most jam-packed episode ever. There's another tool for those of you that really struggle with saying no. You don't have to say no. You can say yes and. Yes,
Mm.
I can absolutely do that quote for you. I can fit you in 3 weeks' time or 2 months' time or 6 months' time. Whatever fits for you that you know that they're going to say no to, because then it's their choice to say no, not yours. Makes it really easy for you to say no without saying that little tiny 2-letter word that so many of us struggle with.
If you have got some brain bombs out of today and you're thinking, whoa, I need to go do some work on this, and you feel like you'd like some more support, guess what? Coxie and I do this for a living. We actually get paid to do this with clients
We
as
do.
well as the podcast here. So if 2024 is your year or you want to make it your year for you and your business and your family, then head on over to the website, tradiesinbusiness.com.au. There's some free training on there. There's downloads and stuff you can grab. We want to help you actually make 2024 your year. We've got a bunch of tools to do it. Better than that, we've got an awesome community
Mm,
that raise each other up. We have a community of tradies in business who are literally just lifting each other up, giving their fellow tradie business owner a leg up on the ladder. So head over to the website. You'll find some free training and stuff on there. Our events are on there. There's information about our program, our course. We've got a crash course in tradie business essentials that you can sign up for as well. So go and get whatever level of support is right for you. And we hope to see you in a higher level within our community at some stage throughout the year.
thanks for listening.
Hooroo.